Savages, we are back with another episode live from Savage Studios. My name is Al / Papi Chulo, and I'm joined, as always, with my host.
By the man with no nickname.
No
Hector.
nickname, Hector. How are you doing, man?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
How is the nickname thing going, actually? Before we get into anything. Let's jump right into it.
All right. So far from last week, we have Stallion, Daddy Stings with the GS at the end, Professor Hector. Those are the three we had. And now we got 5 submissions.
5 new ones?
Yep. I gotta be honest. 3 of them were from the intern, but I love them. So you could already be imagining.
Hold on, very fast. Very fast. If there's any suggestions from Elias, you can just delete them right now. I'm just kidding.
The intern is worth more, man. How are we going to encourage people to work for us if we're not even going to value their suggestions?
True. We are currently looking for more interns.
Yes, if you have skills on how to talk, please contact us. But
if you have any skills, are you good at stapling papers? Are you good at roasting people? We could use that. We need a savage.
If you need, if you're good writing down shit on sticky notes, we always value that. But going back, so the new 5 nicknames, I'll give you the last 3 at the end. So another submission was Big H. What do you think about that? It's like
very generic, I think. Right?
Okay. All right. What about Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange. I might have heard that one before.
So no, okay. So then Elias's, or the intern, Papa Bear's, is first one is Dr. Coon, C-U-N, Kun.
Well, let's delete that one.
Yeah, Dr. Cub and Cubby. What are your thoughts?
All
about
right, you
that?
know what? I think we need a new intern actually. All right, let's give suggestions on that. I don't know if I'm going to regret this decision to have people offer a nickname. I should have just chosen one, but hey, we got to include the people. Got to include the savages.
See, this is why you give yourself a nickname, like I did.
I should have. I've learned my lesson. I am no longer going to have people answer for me. I am a new man.
Well, you have at least one more submission period. And see if you get some new nicknames. And then we're going to have a little countdown. And see what's up, man. Hopefully you cross your fingers.
I'm going to tell random people about this podcast. Just so they can give different suggestions. Like, I'm going to tell them, like, I don't care if you listen to the podcast. Just follow this social media. And just give some suggestions. Please. You don't have to actually listen to it. Just, no. Play the podcast. Mute it. You don't have to listen to it. Give us a listen. Give us a suggestion. That's all you got to do.
Tell your coworkers, man. Tell your kids, your wives, everyone. Just submit a post. Submit a nickname.
I'll tell one of my wives.
Oh, damn. You heard that.
I'm just kidding. I'm not,
you heard that
not
here.
that kind of man. I'm a good man.
Come on. I'm just kidding. But, so, what do you call it? So far, I gotta say, Stallion is probably my favorite nickname for you. Because to me it sounds
very
catchy.
Majestic.
And yeah.
It sounds majestic. Here's the thing too. I'm leaning towards that one. And as soon as I officially take that nickname, I'm gonna ask people to Photoshop me on a stallion. That's the next homework assignment for the savages. No, on a stallion.
Oh man, that'd be better if you're on Centaur.
I'm gonna be giving homework assignments to the listeners because I'm a professor. It's what you got to do. I'm a doctor. But that's the next thing, you guys. If you can Photoshop me on a stallion and post it, I will take that name right now. I will take that name right now. Put it on a t-shirt, please.
Hey man, you're using your powers inappropriately, like our good friend Donald Trump. So have you heard about the impeachment recently? Or the process, at least?
Yeah, so it started, 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, and I was really looking forward to it. It felt like the amount of hype that people get when the Super Bowl's coming up, that's the amount of hype it was for me. Mm-hmm. Like, I was going to get some, chicken wings and beer and stuff and watch it, because America. But I've just been so busy with work, so like I told you, this past like week and a half, I've been uncultured with the news, and I've been behind. So you're gonna have to catch me up on that. This next segment is gonna be teaching Hector shit.
Teaching Hector shit. All right. So just a little rundown. I'm gonna take it back to Ukraine just to give a little more context. So basically, Ukraine has had a big business relationship with Russia when it came to trading. And I think they had it for a while now. And the previous president, during his time, he was trying to keep that agreement going. But at the same time, some of his representatives, I'm not sure who specifically, but there was a big eminent agreement between Ukraine and the EU to making the PAC agreement, I think, for trading. And something big that will affect the economy in Ukraine. But, that's a big no-no when it comes to Russia, because Russia doesn't want to get involved with those, European people. So he tried to delay it, and I think that was a smart move because, he was like, hey, man, these things are pretty tense. So he probably wanted to get both sides happy. But at the end, there was a big riot going on in Ukraine. I think it was the Ukrainian Revolution. I forgot what they really called it. But that happened. And this guy was it was around the time that he was going to try to get re-elections going. And around that same time, there was a famous actor for Ukraine, which is currently the president right now. He started making a show about like trying to get government involvement with people and try to make, how would you say this? Try to basically make the government listen to the people. Hence the revolution. So all that thing happened right before the elections. And during that time, the elections popped up, and this actor guy just popped up as being one of the candidates, and he won by a landslide. I think he won like 60% of the votes or something like that. So this guy, I don't want to bash on him, but this is just factual. He has hardly any experience in the government, and he just got elected as president. The highest he went was supporting this group in order to get the people to push the Ukrainian government to go with the EU. And he just gets elected. And around that same time, around the protests and the elections, Russia sent down some soldiers at I forgot what part of the country is, but they basically sent down soldiers without their permission to take over some part of the land. So it kind of starts a little bit of a war tension there. And legit 3 months after the new president got elected for Ukraine, Trump gives him that famous call on, I think it was July 25th.
Ooh, the infamous call.
Yeah. And then according to Trump's side, he just was calling him to congratulate him for his recent presidency election, and that he already withheld previous government aid for Ukraine, military aid, and he was gonna tell him to support anti-corruption, which comes down to it being Joe Biden, which was Trump's target, and his son Hunter Biden. But that's not really what Trump says. Trump says there's supposed to be some sort of system, or how would you say this? Like, I don't know. It's like an online system that's supposed to be, corrupt, used by corrupted countries in order to attack the U.S. So Trump's point was to withhold that money because he thought they were being corrupt by withholding that information from them. But really, what he wanted to do is just get some information about Joe Biden's son and use that against him in the upcoming elections now. So all that gets done. And within, I think, less than a month after that call, there was a lot of people present during that call. And it did not seem at all to what Trump made it look out to be like, just trying to hunt down some corrupt people. No, they said this seemed like it was a leverage thing where he was like, if you don't help me or you don't come to disagreement to look into the corrupt, possible corrupt people such as Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's also possible connection that led to the firing of one of the Ukrainian officials, which supposedly happened, but there's not really much research into it, and they also stopped it. But he wanted all that to be continued, and then he would give them close to $350 million worth of military aid to Ukraine. And people just didn't seem like that's a really diplomatic way of doing things, because it's just manipulating of your position, and it contradicts to what contradicts and it doesn't keep the U.S. goals consistent, because the U.S. government typically says they want to look out for the countries around the world and help them as much as they can. But at the same time, now Trump is putting in his own personal favors. It's just messing up the image for the country, and it's also making it inconsistent when it comes to our goals as a country. So all that's been happening. Yet it doesn't seem like the impeachment process will take place because I think Senate has popularity vote on whether or not this will happen.
So you mean to tell me that manipulating and outside government interference is not right, Al?
I guess not, man.
Well, I, for one, am shocked. I've been lied to. But that's just bizarre because, we're often hearing, like, one thing is, of course, every day we hear the fingers pointing and we see posts of, so-and-so said this, so-and-so did this. And a lot of times, it's little things too. We've talked about, I think I was telling Elias about this, but like a couple weeks ago, I don't know who Donald Trump was talking to, but I think like he was like fixing his hair or something. And he did it with like his middle finger. And everyone was saying like, oh, he was flipping her off. There's times like that where it's like little absurd things. Like it's just speculation, just a lot of assuming. But then there is like cold, hardcore evidence of like blatant corruption. And there's just these things where it's like, okay, there's going to be a shitstorm on Twitter for a day or two. Everyone's going to tweet about this, but then people are going to forget about it. And that's the sad part. We're being desensitized too quickly on a lot of these things that are happening.
It's crazy, dude. It's just, it just comes down to the structure of the government, honestly. Like, this shit should honestly not be, double hesitation. It shouldn't really be coming to a review. But since the House of Representatives has a majority representation for Democrats, but when it comes to the Senate, which approves the execution of that, they need 2/3 approval of the Senate for that to happen. But I think it's close to 55% of the seats there are run by Republicans. So, and you're not obviously going to do that, are you? So to make your party look bad like that, it's not going to happen, dude.
Politics, man. Why watch novella when you can watch, what's going on in the news every day? And just social media on its own too, like it's another way to get into it as well. It's just so bizarre. And I remember when I was in high school, I was not into politics. And a big part of it too, a part of it was I was into the punk rock music, and a lot of it is like anti-government and stuff like that. But I think from that younger standpoint, when you just see just a bunch of complaining and nothing's getting done, and it's just one thing after another, it's really hard to believe that things can be solved this way, that laws and that voting and these processes, that these things can help us. It's really tough. It's one of those things where you have to stay informed. That's one of my things too. Like I told you about 10 minutes ago. I was just so busy that I didn't know what was going on. And there's just so much stuff going on every day that you're just falling behind. It's like, you're watching Game of Thrones and you stop watching for a month and you're like, well, what the fuck happened? Half the cast is dead. But no, but for real though,
I haven't watched this, so it just made me laugh.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's just so crazy. I am gonna have to catch up on a lot of this. I've heard bits and pieces, but I'm that person that I don't like posting on stuff if I don't know the whole story. I don't know how people can do that. They'll see a headline and they'll share it, or they don't even fact check and they'll just share shit. I could never do that.
You know what I typically like to do is share some posts from The Onion and send it to some friends and see if they think it's actually true or not.
I remember I did that to you and you believed it.
That was a while ago, though. I learned my lesson.
That was a couple months ago. Don't say it was years ago, like you were a child.
I was still a couple months ago. I was still in college. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
I'm sure I could find that article too. I remember I shared an article with you and our friend Angel in the group chat, and Angel was laughing, but you were taking it seriously, and then we were just laughing at you. I need to find that article, but no, The Onion. I love The Onion. I just love its satire and how it makes fun of certain issues too, and like you really have to understand their humor to understand what's going on there. The big one that I loved was it's happened the week after we talked about my Amazon story and the cupcake. Yeah. And I think I shared this with you, but a friend tagged me in in a post from The Onion, and it said like, company outrage and company near protest is squashed by a pizza party.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. It was a while ago.
Yeah. No, but that's how I felt with the Amazon thing. Like, I felt like a lot of people were being mistreated there. A lot of people were unhappy, and we were given a stale cupcake. So that was really funny. And I think The Onion is one of those things that people will have to at some point check out. I think you can learn a thing or two from. Well, this was funny too. It's fake. It legit is fake news, but I think you can learn a thing or two from that. You have The Onion. You have Fox News. Yeah, you got the good fake news out there.
But just going back to the topic, it just makes me think that way before we were a conservative country where we wouldn't really like to go outside of our limits to relate or to get involved with other countries in their situations, problems, or just do trades as well, as much at least. But now you think about it, how much the U.S. has leverage and is one of the top countries to run the world, basically, or affected in huge proportions. And it makes you think, like, some people say, like, hey, we should just go back to those days, or we shouldn't, get involved with so many countries. But now, you're put in this position. What if you're the Ukrainian president? You're getting leveraged by this. You can't really do much, can you?
I remember that's one of the things that annoyed me because, like I said, back to this. But when I was in high school, I wasn't into the politics. I didn't know the context of things, and I would hear headlines or I would hear people talking about stuff, but I didn't know the whole context. And one of the things that annoyed me was why do we keep getting involved in all these international crises and all this stuff that's happening overseas when we're so fucked up over here, Yeah. But then after a while, if you really think about it, and then there's times too where like there's other legit horrors happening out there, and we don't get involved. And then it's like, okay, why are we not getting involved here?
It's all the money, man. It's honestly, it reminds me to when was it? The circle of influence the U.S. started to do around after World War One, when they got involved late in the war. I think that's when the U.S. gained its huge economic boost. And from there, it just wanted to make more of its influence be known around the world, especially in the Cold War when it did the indirect war with the Soviets. And it's I don't know, dude. My concern is, would you rather be in the top and just be constantly scrutinized, or be one of? I don't want to take offense to anything like this, but be lower than that and have that person kind of manipulate you. Which side would you want to be on?
I don't want to be on the winning side, Al.
There you go, then.
I'm just kidding.
And you gotta think about it too. Like, our shitty problems isn't as bad as other countries' problems, like Lebanon and freaking Yemen and Argentina, Venezuela. All these countries that are having such shitty problems. Come on, man. No, nobody has problems. I feel like they won't have a problem if their picture didn't get the best angle of their plate to post on Instagram.
Yeah, speaking of sides, have you heard of this whole boomer thing going on?
No, what's going on?
No, okay, so it started off as a meme. I found this funny meme on Reddit, and then it blew up, and then Facebook and Twitter, and it's just basically a response to boomers, the baby boomers. Yeah. And you constantly hear those baby boomers talk about how the millennials are fucking stuff up and how millennials are lazy and this and that.
Oh my God.
So basically there became this meme, and it's just more of all it is just, okay, boomer. That's it. Just that simple response, okay, boomer. But it's more of a response to all that criticism of this generation, they're screwing up. But in retrospect, you really understand why things are the way they are. And why we're so broke as a nation right now. And it's just a simple response of, okay, boomer. And there was this article on NPR about a week or two ago. And apparently it's a big issue. Like, it's not even just a little meme. But there's like a online controversy, a little online argument between boomers and millennials. And it's like hashtag boomer, okay, boomer, and hashtag okay, millennials. And they're just going back at it back and forth. It's like this meme, seemingly innocent meme at first, like it's this big controversy right now, and I don't know, I just thought it was so bizarre.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah. I tell lies that every day.
Man, it just reminds me every time you told me You told me I was a millennial. That's why I had problems for anything.
Wait, what?
Oh my god. No, like I remembered. You always like to poke joke at the millennials thing, like fucking millennial or some shit when I didn't do shit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh man. Okay, boomer. I'm gonna start talking. I'm gonna start telling you that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
man.
like poking fun at everybody. That's the thing about me. I am like legit neutral. Even if I am a part of something or some sort of political party, I will still joke on it. Like, I'm not those people that are just like attacking one and that's it. And they're super biased and their side is 100%, innocent and stuff like that. And I remember, because the Democratic Party, it's not flawless. It has its flaws and there are things that don't work. And there's some things that I don't agree with. And I specifically remember, like, we'd be having conversations on politics and stuff, and, like, you would say something, and I'd be like, fucking liberal. I think that's what you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
It wasn't millennial. And I remember you would never question me on that, but I would always say, fucking liberal. And then I remember one day, you're like, wait, what are you then?
Yeah.
I remember you finally questioned me, and I had to explain, like, nah, dude, it's more of a critique on ourselves too, but it's a joke. And for me, I'm just that person where you just can't see yourself as flawless and all powerful. The left and the right, Democrat and Republican, they're both flawed. They both are,
dude.
But, okay, boomer.
Okay. Now, actually, recently I was checking out one of the episodes before I came back. The infamous comeback, but I was looking at some scary stories and some like how do you call it, murder cases and all that stuff. I think you and your friend Beatrice were talking about that.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, something around those things. I can't specifically don't remember if it's scary stuff or just murder cases or something.
We were talking about the black market. That's what was brought up.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I was doing my own little research, and I just happened to stumble upon like weird creatures. And since we were also talking about horror stories before, I ran into this Native American, not folk story, but like his idea or myth passed down that there's such a shape-shifting man witch thing that could turn into any sort of wolf or animal that has 4 legs, and that supposedly roams around the woods. It's so freaking ugly and weird, dude. It's crazy though, because you hearing these stories at night. Oh my god, dude, it's so thrilling. I don't know if you heard about
That's the best time to hear those stories, though.
Right?
That is the best time to hear those stories. That's when it stays on your mind. That's when it really bothers you, and like your mind adds this whole different context and meaning to it. I love that,
especially when it comes down to these how do you say, these people actually telling their own stories. I know some of them are fake, but actually catching videos or of the animal or creature or noise or whatever, it's just interesting. And there's some creepy stuff out there, man. It's not just all Bigfoot and that's it.
I like these stories too, because I think it was after that podcast, after Beatrice and I recorded that episode, we were talking after, we were still hanging out, and I think she was showing me some conspiracy videos. And
oh yeah, those two, those are fun.
It's just one of those things where I want to hope and I like to imagine that the world is just, there's so much more. There's so much more out there than just, fish, the animals we see, and us, this, flawed piece of shit. But I want to think that. I want to know that there's other stuff out there. There's, more possibilities, and there's just so much more that we don't know. I don't want to live in a world where we know everything. I don't like the thought of that.
Would you ever hunt one of these things? Have you seen these? I think I forwarded you a picture of it. It's called a Wendigo or a
Wendigo?
Skinwalker.
Dude, I can take on a Wendigo.
It reminds me of I remember that video game, the one where we're supposed to survive in the zombie apocalypse, the game we bought before.
State of Decay?
Yeah, that one. It had Wendigos in there. I fucking creep the shit out of me, especially when it runs at you. It's basically kind of like that. It was in
Fallout 76. I remember that. I don't remember it being State of Decay.
No, yeah, State of Decay had like the freaking like a human thing that ran in its four fucking legs, whatever, and they just come bashing at you. You couldn't do shit, and they wouldn't die. And they kind of basically look like that one. It's either a Wendigo. It's comes from a different Indian tribe, and then a Skinwalker's from another different tribe. But both of them, basically, their physique is really skinny. They run in four legs, and their hair's all messed up. And it's just like the thing you always remember is their eyes. Oh man, it's so interesting to just listen to these stories. But like you said, just not knowing everything that's around us, it's pretty phenomenal. You know, at times you just wanna learn basic stuff that's going on around the world. But there's some interesting stories out there that could be true, and just the spotlight's not on them enough.
Yeah, on this site right here, it's talking about Wendigos. The end of this paragraph says, "But these are only myth. Or are there really cannibalistic humanoids waiting in forest for their next victim?"
Dude.
Damn. See? I think even if these are not real, like you said, a lot of these, you know, hopefully some of these are fake. You know, I don't mind aliens, but I don't want some Wendigo chasing. I can take on a Wendigo. I guarantee you. I know I can.
Come on,
but bro, come on. Come on.
Well, last time I saw you, I wouldn't see it.
But I can take on a Wendigo. Now, if there is a Wendigo outbreak, or one of these things are real, we're gonna take a road trip and we're gonna take it down.
All right, let's do it.
Unscripted style. Yeah, we're gonna get it on camera. No, we're not gonna get it on camera actually.
We'll get it on there. We should spray paint the car, put just Savages Unscripted on the side, just run it over.
Yeah, but as I was saying, like, you know, of course, you know, a lot of these things, you know, are fake. But I think a lot of these too, like, it's based on some sort of truth. Like, I mean, it says here, like, are there really cannibalistic humanoids waiting in forest for their next victim?
Yeah.
Maybe they are just cannibals. Maybe just over time these stories were kind of stretched. You know, the truths were kind of manipulated and they became other things. You know, maybe they became bedtime stories to scare kids. And from there, they were just constantly told and twisted some more. And I think that's how a lot of these stories happen.
At the end of the day, I just feel it depends on, you know, how much interest the person has. Do you want to really believe it or not and really delve into it? Because, like, there's so many things people don't believe or think it's too good to be true. But at the end of the day, at times, it is possible for these things to happen, either, you know, financial wise or freaking non-natural wise, non-biological wise, like all this stuff. It's just crazy. And for me, at least, I would like to say there is such, you know, these weird outside things that just aren't really animals or things we know about, because it just makes things fun, you know. Maybe you just want to, like you said, just get in the car and just start looking for one.
One thing I will say though is, because I think I was talking to Angel about this, because, you know, whenever the three of us are on Xbox, we talk a lot about conspiracy theories and stuff for that. But as much as I like conspiracy theories, a lot of them are very interesting, but there are some that go against science or facts, and they present it with things that are completely baseless. And a lot of those things, those are laughable, like anti-vax and all that stuff. There's a lot of those things.
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, if someone mentions like Bigfoot or something, I'll be like, oh, dope, you know, this person, they know some stuff. But if they were to say like, oh, I'm anti-vax, I'd be like, oh, it's I don't need to know you. I'm going to leave this room. I don't know you, actually.
So basically people who haven't really tried it or experienced it, rather than just assume things, right?
It's just, so a lot of those, you know, Bigfoot and a lot of those stories are based on what ifs. I think a lot of them are on what ifs, or, you know, a lot of the photos we get, they're indefinite. And, so, you know, one little thing, in case our listeners are hearing a beep, we exchanged a battery in our fire alarm, and that thing is still going off. So the studio just ignore it. Just ignore it, you guys. But yeah, so I think that's one thing. You know, a lot of those are built on assumptions, on just what ifs, and that's what makes it interesting. Those ones they can tell in the dark, and those what ifs. But then there are some conspiracy theories that completely fight against facts and science. And it's one thing if you're going to fight against those things, but I want some facts in return. I don't want some completely baseless, trivial list of things you're telling me that make no sense. I don't want to hear that.
Like who shot JFK or something? Did the mafia kill JFK?
I think it was a Wendigo.
Just no scope that shit. Oh
It was a
man,
no-scoping Wendigo.
it's just yeah, dude. It makes you think? Are you like really interested into that stuff? You know, like you guys were kind of broadly talking about it, but are you interested in like conspiracy theories, strange phenomenon, any of that sort of nature?
I mean, I'm not crazy about it. I'm not telling other people on the bus, fuck the government.
The government's listening to us right now.
I remember a while ago, I was taking the bus and we're going to San Bernardino. So, you know, of course, already there's some questionable characters you're meeting on the bus in San Bernardino. It's not the greatest combination. But there was this lady who was obviously on something. Like she was kind of tweaking and shaking a little bit. And she sat, I think, 2 rows in front of me in the bus. And, you know, I just took my phone and checked the time. And she was like, "You gotta toss that away, man. They can hear your thoughts. They know what you're thinking. They know." And like, this is how she's talking. You know, she's like stuttering and like tweaking and rubbing her arm. And she's like, "Toss it out the window. They know." And I was like, what? So I'm not that kind of conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to people on the bus and, you know, complete screw the government on every little thing. But like I was saying, there's some things I'm like, oh, you know, if this was real, it'd be really interesting. Or I see it as a scary story. I like to see it as, or just one of those things like, wow, this kind of gave me some chills. A lot of this made sense.
Have you heard of transgender people breaking world records in women's sports?
I have.
Dude, that's crazy, funny, and just unfair. Honestly, there's so many people. I think there's this one weightlifting transgender person who broke 3 world records for deadlifting. Like 3, one person, and then there's multiple people who are just doing this constantly. It just seems pretty unfair. I feel at the end it's gonna come down to just both men and women playing sports together, and then people are not gonna like it because, you know, biologically men have more of an advantage when it comes to athletic physical requirements and potential compared to women. Obviously not all of them. At least take an example for me. I'm just kidding. But and then women are going to be unhappy, and then this whole process is going to happen. But it's just crazy to me how this is, and I kind of feel bad, you know, for all women athletes who will try to go out there and try their best, yet this sort of issue's coming along.
I remember there's been a few of that, but I think there was a case at a high school. I think it was like 2-3 months ago, not too long ago. And this female athlete, and you can kind of see it from her point of view, but she was saying like, you know, we're doing this sport. I don't know if it was track or something. And she basically said at this point, there's no point in us even partaking in these events.
Damn.
This is one of those topics where I don't know too much about. So I don't want to, you know, spray too much of my opinion. I don't have much of an opinion on this, but the one thing I can say is if this grows and it's allowed more, I guess you can say, eventually they're going to come at these bigger sports saying, you know, this person or such and such can join. I'm surprised it hasn't hit the NBA yet, has it?
Dude, oh my god. I would love to see WNBA players come play in the NBA.
I do want to see that. I want to see more recreational stuff. Some
women freaking athlete WNBA player poster LeBron. That would be funny, hilarious, and memorable. But you want
to see KCP playing in that league, in the WNBA?
Hey man, actually KCP's actually been doing pretty well. He's actually been scoring like more than 10 points.
I like that like a month ago. No, not even a month ago. It was like 2-3 weeks ago. Like Laker fans were cyberbullying him.
Yeah. I'm gonna admit it. I wasn't really cyberbullying him. I was just saying, can we just trade him in the 2nd round draft pick to get Iggy? But
see, that's nice though. But I saw people posting like, "Oh, this guy's a piece of shit. How can we have him on our team? Really, you're starting him over this person? This guy's a joke." And people were going like above and beyond. And I'm one of those people where I like the competitiveness of sports, but there's a certain point where it's unhealthy, and it's like if you're getting so there's a difference between like being outright angry and being competitive. There is a difference.
Yeah.
And some people take it way too seriously.
It's just being irrational. That's really what it comes down to. Because
no, it is, yeah.
Like, okay, at one side I get it because KCP has been getting paid like 20 mil per year almost for the last 3 years he's been here. So, that's a big chunk of change. I expect more than 30% shooting, less than 8 points, foul troubles all constantly. But now he's actually picked up his game, and I hope it stays consistent. But yeah, dude, KCP WNBA. I'd rather like to see CP3 playing in the WNBA game. See how feisty he gets.
There was this clip, and so for those that don't know, KCP, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, he's with the Lakers, and he's a bit of a meme of the Lakers, but he just isn't a great player. And every time I see him, I wonder why they still have him. I'm not cyberbullying him, but I wonder why they still have him. And he's on a contract where, like Al was saying, he's getting paid a good amount of money. He should be. Where's the value in this? And especially when you compare him to other contracts, Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell from the Clippers, who are giving more. But there was this clip I saw 3 weeks ago, maybe, and I think LeBron and AD were sitting down, but Contavious KCP, he wants to play ISO. And he's taking the ball, and he looks super confident, and he shoots a 3-pointer, which you're hoping goes in, and it was an air ball.
Oh man! Well, at least he's picked it up from there. There's no lower you could go from there.
That is the low. That's the KCP high.
I mean, he could probably do more. Honestly, that guy. I feel like just when it comes down to his situation, I feel like just the pressure and just. The slump you get into, and at times it comes to a psychological management of yourself, because at the end you could just say you suck because you haven't been performing lately, which leads you to even performing worse. And lately he should be performing good, so it seems like he's getting more motivation rather than just getting knocked off the team, even though there's so many links that the Lakers want to get Iggy, and Lakers recently trying to trade it. Their whole team hasn't really helped much. So, but it seems great, at least that he's picking up the pace. Just gotta get out of your slump, and it comes down to how you manage yourself. Even though faking yourself out for something successful at least helps you pick it up and put more effort into your next opportunity rather than just. Stay there and stay with that negative feeling in your head. Is there another topic you want to bring up? Because I mostly brought up kind of a good amount of topics. I don't want to hog the time.
Right. So right before this podcast, I actually came upon a pretty interesting article.
Okay.
And this happened in Rhode Island, but apparently there was this guy with autism. And for the longest time, he was applying for different jobs, and he just kept getting denied. And there was this whole issue of, these people with disabilities not being represented, and they're not being given chances. So there's this guy in Rhode Island, in Smithfield, Rhode Island. So this guy actually started his own business. He couldn't find a job. He couldn't get hired. So he decided, you know what? I'm going to take business classes. So he went out of his way. I believe his parents helped him out, and he started taking business classes, and he made his own cafe. So it's in Rhode Island. It's called Red, White, and Brew.
Nice.
Yeah, like it's really cool. And it's just one of those things where I think a lot of people have potential. It's one of those things that it's tough to give anybody a shot, I think. And it sucked that he wasn't given a shot. But I think you're never going to know someone's potential unless you give them that chance to shine. And I think that's really cool that, this guy, he couldn't get hired, but like a lot of people would give up at that point. But this guy, he was like, fuck it, I'm making my own business. And that was pretty dope.
That's just staying persistent and kind of opening up your mind besides finding different ways to function, Like in business, I know they taught me that once you try to make a business or your thing happen, you should try to find a different way of doing it or try to find a different value you could provide or that sort of thing. But for him, at least, he tried to, he didn't really get some jobs, maybe specifically in a certain field or, it wasn't his time. So he said, fuck it, I'm going to do something different. Try to manage myself differently. And I hope he's doing the best. That's really cool. And I never heard of that. Typically, I just hear negative news on all the channels.
Yeah, it's really cool. I want more of this news. And Not just that, but you don't hear much coming from Rhode Island. You forget it's a state at times.
Basically, the Midwest hardly gets any coverage to begin with. Unless you have a sports team, you have 5-star hotels, you have a beach, or you have some sort of monument or what do you call it, national park. You're not going to get known, honestly.
Wait, did you say the Midwest? I'm pretty sure Rhode Island's not in the Midwest, Al.
No, I said like they hardly get coverage in that Midwest.
All right, because it's not in the Midwest.
No, I'm not saying that. But the middle of America.
It's not even the middle, but okay, we're just gonna I'll let you have that. Now, you know what?
I didn't refer
I'm sure you've
to
had a long
Rhode
week.
Island specifically, but okay.
And I'm sure New York is down south as well. I'm sure it is, Al. That's another thing too. Actually, that's something that's been on my mind. I think for the longest time, most people I know, at least here in SoCal, I don't want to put everybody in this boat, this overgeneralization, but I think we are very shitty at geography.
Okay. Talking shit?
There's this YouTube channel where they'll interview, there's like representatives from each state, like one person, and they'll say like, oh, you know, what's your best food, or what's your best sports team? Just random stuff, little fun videos. You know, what's your, you know, some slang, or, you know, what's a famous accent from your state? This is just for the United States. And there was one video, and they were saying what states are surrounding your state. And it's funny because not many people could answer this. And I'm just curious about those listening, if who can name all the states surrounding their state? Because I know I can't do it. I know Nevada's here because of Las Vegas. And I just think we just have very bad geography skills.
Dude, what are you talking about? New York is right next to us.
I knew it.
It's not that far, man. You can walk there.
New York.
New York. Yeah, it's Vegas right there. But
hold on very fast.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just say something. Let me just share something. So something happened this past week at work. So like I told you, you know, we work with kids, and you know, every now and then, you know, we have them doing homework and all that jazz. But one of my coworkers just wanted to test them, and this really concerned me.
Okay.
For the future generation, any future generations, because let me ask you this. Let me give some context first, actually. So I remember when I was in 2nd and 3rd grade, we would do these worksheets, and there would be like 100 multiplication problems.
Okay.
And depending on what you were learning,
oh my god, I love those.
You remember those, right? And they would time you.
Yeah. Oh, that was so competitive. I love that.
And you had to fill it out, and then once you finish, you know, you just put your paper down, you wait for everybody to finish, and all that stuff. So, how much time were you given, approximately? Because I think we were given like 2 to 5 minutes, nothing more. I think 5 sounds a bit of a stretch too.
I think it was around 2 minutes for me, at least.
Yeah, I think 2 minutes sounds right. I mean, it's not even that much. It's just single, you know, 1-digit multiplication problems. It wasn't. I think the highest you get is like 12 times 12, because it was up to the 12s. And so one of my coworkers decided, like, you know, I want to test these kids, and I want to see their capabilities academically. And she couldn't find multiplication tables, so she gave them a subtraction sheet to the 5th and 6th graders. A subtraction sheet. Subtraction, like you learn this in what, 1st grade? 2nd grade? Yes. No, 1st grade maybe. Okay. So she gave them a subtraction sheet. No double digits at most. Again, just 12. And instead of giving them just 2 to 5 minutes, she gave them 45.
Oh my god!
And most of the class failed.
That's sad.
Most of the class couldn't even finish. And I'm not bringing this up to like poke fun or laugh, but that really concerned me. And, you know, I think this easily brings up discussions of, you know, oh, back in my day we could do this. Back in my day we could do this. I don't care about that. I'm more concerned about the actual results. And like I said, you know, like we were given 2 minutes, and I remember if I got one wrong, that was a big deal to me. But there's these kids that they're older than I was. And this easier math problem, subtraction, they couldn't complete that. I think there was like 1 or 2 people that got like 98 out of 100. And like 70% of the class couldn't even finish it in 40 minutes. To me, that just seemed really concerning. And it just brings you back to, okay, well, what's the cause? Is it the school system? Is it the teacher? Is it, you know, has the material really changed much? Is it home? Is it the parents? And that just, I don't know, it just really scared me.
Let's look at the facts. How old were they again? Or what grade was this?
5th and 6th grade. So
yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah, that's really bad. But
maybe they don't learn math there or something.
So a part of me thinks they were given way too much time. They probably slacked off. They probably weren't even trying. No, I'm hoping. Yeah. I'm hoping, like, best case scenario. I can see that too because, I mean, honestly, if you give someone a worksheet or if you give them an essay and if you give them more time, they're gonna wait a little bit. You know, they're not gonna do it immediately. Mm-hmm. You know, if I give you or if you give me that worksheet, I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna finish it ASAP so I can chill the rest of the time, or I'm just gonna chill at the moment and maybe do it later. So I'm hoping that's it. I'm hoping it's a laziness thing. But if it's anything more, that's what's concerning to me.
As long as your child doesn't come out like that, you're good. That makes them that you should be excited, man, because then your child would stand up all the time. Be number one.
I will tell you this though. So before we made a joke about this, and I told you if you or anyone else is hastily thinking about having kids,
don't
go to somebody that works with kids because it will change your mind. Or you'll see, like, you know, maybe I do want kids, but not now. Is way too much.
Maybe. Damn, bro.
But also, I think also when you work with kids, you start realizing like flaws in education and flaws in parenting. And there isn't a right way to parent. There isn't a right way, 100% right way to teach. You know, there's different methods and stuff. But you start deciding, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And one thing me and my coworkers always talk about is my kid's not going to be like that. I'm going to do it differently. You know, I am going to do this instead. And that's what's scary. There's just so much in the world that there isn't a guidebook. There isn't a right way to do it, whether it be parenting or adulting or any of that stuff.
So what would you call it though? What would that style be? Hector's.
Well, what style be?
Like, what would the name of your type of parenting be called? I just want to know, you know.
I would call this the observe and learn, where you go to somebody that works with kids. Because I think too many people just have kids because I think they're just...
Child support. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I just think they're excited to have sex. That's what it is. They don't think of...
Okay. Damn. Oh,
especially
shit,
when you're
my
in,
Xbox
like,
turned on randomly too. What the fuck?
Wait, no, it's the Wendigo, man. It's the ghost.
I mean, in one side you're right, because I do know people who had that predicament happen. Guys get excited too quickly or too daring, but at times, you know, it's also that not the guys get excited for sex, but it's also people like to settle down quicker. You know, it seems like nowadays, at least, how do you say it's not offensively? But fuck it. You know, some women also like to settle down in a younger age, and I've seen that at least in my circle of people. That recently, I think I had 4 people I know that are either family members or friends. They already have kids, and it was because the guy was also really excited, but it's also because they were kind of wanting that. And they came to an agreement and had it. But at times it just seems to me, at least, that you limit your chances to, like we talked about last podcast about our creativity and what we want to do. I feel like doing just that limits it. And then if you wanted that, it's okay and it's great. That's your choice. But it seems that it couldn't be the best thing. Maybe, like you said, go to Hector and ask him questions.
Yeah, there are people who think about it, and that's the way I think it should be. But I think there are people that put more thought into what am I eating today than should I do this right now? Do I need a kid? People put more thought into that.
And I mean, man, at the end of the day, it's, I don't know, man. Men are animals too, so.
I think if your parent is still supporting you, you probably can't support a kid right now.
Oh, that's a hard burn. Damn.
If you're still acting like a kid, You probably don't need a kid right now.
Damn, dude. Hey, man. Usually those are the people who have one.
No, I do have some friends though that
just roasting some people right now.
And I remember specifically a couple years ago, and I've seen all these memes of, the people I went to high school are already having kids, and I'm barely doing this, or yada yada. But then after a certain point, you realize we're in our mid-20s. Like, you can't just keep thinking like, oh, I don't have a kid yet. There are people that just means I think they're advancing much more than you. I'm offending everybody today. That's not what I mean. I mean,
Hector's too tired.
We're at a point right now where it's not. These aren't people having kids in their teens. It's not that anymore. A lot of people have their career already. A lot of people have a good, secure job already. Just because some of us don't doesn't mean others are in the same boat as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have quite a few friends on my social media, and I see them, with their kids, and I'm not at all concerned. I actually feel very good for these people, and I feel happy for these people. Yeah, like personally to me, and I'm sure you too, I'm in a position where I don't need a kid. Some people, their position's differently. Their chapter of life is different than mine.
Damn, bro. Just imagine what would go through your head. Like, what would go through your head if you were in that situation where you were too excited, and then you find out you were too excited.
This conversation is giving me anxiety.
It's just crazy because at times, you could just be factual and think you could just have an abortion and that's it, but emotions come into play, and then you could also just think into account and be responsible for your previous decisions and just do it.
I remember senior year of high school, and we had a group of friends. We would hang out, before school, lunch, after school, and, we had same group, like 6 or so people, 7 or 8 people. And all of us had plans, for after high school. Some of us, bigger plans, whatever. But we had one specific friend who wanted to be a doctor, and he was in a relationship, and his girlfriend was in the group as well. Mm-hmm. But we knew for sure, everyone knew this guy wanted to be a doctor. He had plans already. He knew where he wanted to go. This guy's becoming a doctor. A lot of us, we were still unsure. We were just going to school just for the sake of going to school, just so we can be in something. But anyways, I remember near the end of senior year, he's already accepted into his UC or whatever. And he comes to us and he looks like he did not sleep at all. He looked really sick, very weak. Mm-hmm. And we told him, what's wrong? And he was like, she's pregnant. And they both looked super distraught. And I remember he told us, like, I spent my night pulling my hair out and just thinking about the things that are going to change now. And he, this is what he told us. And a week later, turns out she wasn't pregnant. They weren't having a kid. And I remember, we're in high school, so we can't legally drink or anything yet. But we celebrated. We went to In-N-Out after. We had some burgers and we celebrated that. But yeah, it's just one of those things where we're all ready in our own time. And I've seen people really, really young do it. I'm not saying they can't, but it's just one of the things. We're all different. We're on our different stages in life. A lot of us are capable for a lot more at earlier ages. But I wonder that too. One thing I often say to myself is, wow, like at my age, my mom already had 2 kids, or she already had 3 kids. Like for me, that'd be crazy. But for her, it's like, it was a different time.
She's a warrior, man.
And she wasn't, she is a warrior. Yeah.
She the Dust fan. Damn, bro. All right, let's get away from ancient topics. So what was I about to say? I saw you brought up the other day that you like to meal prep a lot, dude. And at times I think meal prepping is it, I hear that it could be just basic shit, like, just roast some chicken, put some veggie in it, put the freaking seasoning, salt, pepper, and then you're done. Is that what you typically do, or do you like to go more into cultural dishes such as, Mexican food, Indian food, any type of cultural food you may know?
Depends if I am lazy. A lot of times I'm just doing the easiest thing. But I also want to say up front that meal prepping isn't just for, dieting. Yeah. At times, too, it can be, for me, most of the time, it's honestly because to save time. Like I was telling you, I do it on Sundays. Sundays is my free day, so that's time to meal prep. That's time where I have time to wash those dishes. And then during the week when I get off work, that saves me time on those things. I can just go to the gym, eat. My meal's already ready. So for me, I like the idea of being healthy. I love being healthy. I love eating healthy. But I think the time is the main issue for me because, something when we have this podcast and work and other things, for me, it's the time mainly. For me, it's mainly just what's cheap, healthy, and convenient. And so, for example, like this week, my sister got really sick. And like I told you, Elias just got sick as well. So when I was meal prepping, I was like, well, what can I make that I can share too? I can share with my sister. So I made some brown rice, some chicken. I made some chicken broth, some soup and stuff like that. Stuff that I can eat and it's healthy and stuff that she can eat and it'll help her out too. So it really depends on the week and the scenario. No, I honestly, meal prepping, it's hard. I think it's the idea of meal prepping that's hard. A lot of people, I've seen people that they meal prep and they'll post photos on Instagram. They're like, ugh, I got to eat this again. And if you go into with that mindset of a boring meal and I have to eat this, you're going to hate it. You're not going to enjoy it. I actually like my meal preps. Of course, I'd rather go eat some Indian food or some sushi, but when I'm eating it, I make it so to the point where I actually enjoy it and I'm not dreading it and I'm not envious of other people's meals. I don't think it has to be like that.
You make it with love?
No, I really do.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You sound passionate about it and you're kind of defending that too, so you're making it clear.
So one thing I specifically told Beatrice, we had a discussion recently because I don't think she cooks much, but I love cooking. Mm-hmm. And I think she was saying that it's the washing dishes that she doesn't like. And I was telling her I actually like washing dishes.
Oh my
God,
you're crazy, bro.
No. But hear me out.
Oh
I told her just because I love cooking and I don't mind washing dishes does not mean I'm going to be cooking for people. And it does not mean I'm going to offer to wash your damn dishes. For me, it's just if I have to cook, all right, I enjoy it. I'm going to do it for myself. And with the dishes, to me, I find it very calming. I'll put on a podcast or some music, sing along, or just listen to this podcast. And, why dread it? Why not go in and do something you can enjoy at the same time? That's time you can listen to a podcast. And I specifically told her, just because I say I don't mind doing dishes does not mean I'm going to offer everybody in the house to do their dishes. No, you guys do your own fucking dishes. I'm doing my own.
That's actually true. That's actually
true. There's a cup in there, like I'll do it for them, but...
Sorry to interrupt, but that's true because recently when I've been cooking as well, I usually dread doing dishes, and because I'm typically just before I wouldn't play any podcasts and it'll be too loud, and also if I had my freaking headphones, my wired headphones, they would always get tangled in something, so I would not be able to listen to anything. It'll be too loud, and then I'll just be cooking, and while you're in the moment, you're like, you like to cook because it feels like art. But then when you have to do dishes, it feels like, shit, like, I don't want to do that. I'm making art here. But then now that you mentioned that, recently that I got my headphones, my wireless Bluetooth headphones, I just listen to my podcast, music, videos, whatever. And I just do dishes without even thinking about it. So, yeah, it comes down to just distracting yourself at times, even through dreadful moments, and just make it a little bit better and more comfortable for you to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you're already going to listen to a podcast, or if you're already just going to chill and listen to music or watch a YouTube video, I mean, you can do that passively. You can put some headphones on and do something and be a little active and, get some stuff done, be productive.
Dude, oh my God. I remember when I cooked for you guys so many times.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me preface this because Angel and I love bringing this up. So... I lived with Al just for a few months. I didn't even live with you for a full year because I dipped on you guys and I left. But anyway, so
unloyal bitch.
When Al moved in, he was trying to hype himself up as a roommate.
Hey! I just said I was gonna cook. Okay.
Exactly. You're trying to hype yourself up.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Overrated.
Kind of convinced.
Anyway, so like the first week, Al was telling us, I'm Peruvian, yada yada.
I'm Peruvian. That's it.
So anyways,
I'm qualified to cook because I'm Peruvian.
So Angel, myself, and our other roommate, it was four of us. we were like, oh, we've never had Peruvian food, and Al's all like, oh, dude, it's the shit. Like, it's the best thing you're ever gonna have. Yada yada. So he specifically told us, you guys are lucky you're living with me because I'm gonna cook some fire for you guys.
My God, you're making shit up now.
Did.
You're making
you told
shit
us.
up.
No, I don't make anything
God.
up.
Okay,
I can call him right now and put him on this podcast. Anyway, so let me tell the story. Damn, I don't need your commentary. Anyways, so he was telling us this, I'm going to be making some good food for you guys. You guys are going to understand. And he made one dish. It was really good. You stunk up the apartment. I remember that. But that was like in the first week of us living together, and you never cooked again.
No. I cooked twice, okay?
No. From then on, your mom would bring you food, or you would go buy food, and I never saw you cook again.
Okay, to my defense, it was 2 times I cooked. It was the other time I did chicken with jalapenos and some other stuff. That also choked us out too because the jalapenos are freaking in the air. Oh my God! I remember I could have killed 3 of you guys with that smell. We were all not 3, just 2 of you guys. Because Mike was resistant to freaking smells, whatever, paprika, anything spicy. He's like, hey, man, I can't smell it. And we're just dying like if we were in the gas chamber. Oh, my God.
Al made this Peruvian dish. What was it called?
Ají de pollo.
Yeah, so he made this dish, and just the spices are so strong. They smell the spices that he's in the kitchen cooking, and we're in our bedrooms playing Xbox, and we're, choking out. It feels like there's, smoke in the apartment, my room was probably 15, 20 feet away, and I'm choking out. I had to close the door, turn on the fan, and open a window. And our other roommate just walks in the kitchen like nothing. Doesn't smell a thing. He doesn't even know what you're doing. I don't think he has a sense of smell. I really don't think so. But yeah, I remember that.
That's why he gets explains all his food choices. I was kidding. But well, yeah, I didn't do shit. But right after I moved out, I still didn't cook. But recently, now that what do you call it? I'm not trying to spend money on food. I fucking spend too much money on food. And also actually trying to get this going. Like I mentioned before, just listening to stuff and distract yourself. It's really fun. And then at times, just when you get the rhythm going, honestly, it's not just washing dishes, but just the whole cooking process in general. It seems like nothing. At times before, I would dread that I was doing something for an hour or 2 hours, and I'll be like, oh, when am I done? But now, if you're just distracted and at the same time trying to get something down, over time it's just a quick process, and it doesn't seem that annoying. I remember before I even tried to convince Mike to freaking cut the onions because he couldn't smell shit. But yeah, man, cooking could be interesting and fun. There's so many freaking dishes out there. Some of them super unhealthy, but
I think there's also ways to become more efficient with your time because. So what I like to do is I don't like to save all my dishes for the end. When you have a sink full of dishes, I think that's what turns a lot of people off when it comes to cooking and dishes. So what I like to do is maybe maybe something's boiling. So I'm waiting for something. I have a minute or even 20 seconds to spare. I'm gonna clean some dishes that I have already. I'm gonna start doing something else, and that's why you prep.
Exactly.
You don't just go start cooking and then start bringing your ingredients out. Yeah, there's different efficient ways to do stuff. One thing college did teach me was how to become efficient with my time, because time becomes more essential, I think, as you get older and as you get busier and as you realize there isn't 24 hours isn't much. And then when you realize you need more sleep, something I used to do when I started really watching basketball again, before, streaming and all that stuff, when there was, commercials, I used to make those commercials productive. That's when I would go use the restroom. And sometimes I would have a book with me. I would read during every commercial. Or that's when I would start doing push-ups or some stretches. There's different things you can do. I think there's these parts in your day that are just eating up time and you're not doing anything. I think if you really add that up, there's an hour or two in your day. You can be doing something else. Mm-hmm. Or I think I was talking to a friend about this about a year ago. But when you're microwaving something, if it's a minute or two, you're just gonna stand there, stare at this microwave door, just wait. You're just gonna be on your phone. You could be doing something in that minute.
Mm-hmm.
Do some push-ups, do some jumping jacks, do something. Clean a little, clean a dish.
Do burpees.
There's those times in the day where, yeah, you're not doing anything in that moment. You can do something, and maybe you're not incredibly productive, but you're doing something, and I think that is gonna make you feel better.
All these discussions for food and efficiency is making me hungry already.
I'm glad I ate already.
Dude, oh my god, man. Today I had a freaking... I don't know if... Have you ever had breakfast tamales for breakfast?
Yep, during Christmas time.
With
we have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
With chicharrón and bread and sweet potatoes, and just basically a bunch of greasy stuff.
One thing I realized, though, is as I get healthier, the holidays gets harder. It gets a lot harder. Yeah, but the good thing is my family, I noticed like they're having more options. And I think that the tough part is just having that willpower and the portion sizing. That's the tough part. I remember I was always that person out. I had to get leftovers and I had to get seconds. When whatever we were eating or however much, I had to get seconds. I saw it as free food, make it worth it. But I remember last year, Thanksgiving, I had a mountain of food and I didn't even get everything that was being served. And when you think about that in retrospect, you're like, do I need seconds? I have a mountain of food already. I don't need seconds. It's all the mindset.
And that's what I was actually going to bring up, because I was like, recently I've been trying to avoid any fried foods, anything like that. Like I'm just cooking at home and shit like that, prepping and all that. And you just feel like shit after eating all that greasy food. I felt really kind of exhausted because my stomach had to process all this stuff. It makes you just think back to when, we used to go out to eat all this shitty food all the time. And we were like, whatever with it. And now, especially with holidays and stuff like that.
You guys were the reason I got fat.
Oh,
you guys and my lack of willpower.
Oh, come on. No.
You guys and my lack of willpower.
Oh my god.
It's mainly a little bit more the second one. It's mainly the second one because I remember we talked about this before, but so I had gained a lot of weight when I was living specifically with Angel because he eats out a lot. And there will be some moments where we just had our code words or our code phrases. And one thing he would do, and there was no time limit to when we would eat. It wasn't like, oh, it's 9 o'clock, we're not eating. No, 9 o'clock is when we're awake and we're in our prime and when you're in college. But I remember there'll be some times where, I might be preparing a meal and Angel would come in the kitchen and he'd look at me kind of serious and he'd be like, you're not down. And immediately I would know what that meant. That would mean, get my wallet, we're going to go eat. And it was always the same thing. Or you don't want it. And so I'd be like, all right, let me get my wallet. We're going to go eat.
The phrasing of that question or just him saying that is challenging too. And it probably just brings out the competitiveness out of you and to be like, oh no, I'm down.
And not just that, but when you're in college and when you're living with friends, you want to go out and do stuff. And at times too, you just don't want to cook. It's just like back to the inconvenience of cooking and washing dishes. And when you're in college and someone tells you late at night and you're wide awake, hey, you want to go eat? It's like perfect timing. Let's hit up Denny's or Corky's or something.
Oh my god, dude, those food places were amazing.
Did I tell you about my list?
What?
So I have something called the list. And specifically when I started eating healthy, I cut out soda and I cut out all fast food. Mm-hmm. But I made something called the list. And I was basically limiting my fast food consumption. At first, it was just, I cannot eat fast food more than once in a 2-week period. That was my first rule. Mm-hmm. But if I didn't crave it, I wasn't going to get it. But then also I made something called the list. And if I was ever craving something, I would basically treat myself. But this list, this is for the foods that I will never eat again. Like you were saying, certain foods like fried foods, especially if you go healthy for so long and you have fried food, makes you feel like shit. And so this is what that list is for. Because there's certain times where even if you haven't eaten junk food in 5 or 6 months, you're going to suddenly one day have a craving. Maybe your friend brings home some Jack in the Box or they talk about Carl's Jr. You're going to be like, you know what? I remember I used to get this and it was cheap and it was easy and it was good. So this list was for those last minute, all of a sudden temptations, those cravings. and I would allow myself to get that food. And if it really made me feel like shit, or if it really wasn't worth it, or if I regretted it, I would put this on the list, and those are the foods I will never eat again. And I recently put Wiener Schnitzel on there because my sister was like talking about chili cheese fries, and I was like, you know what? I haven't had some Wiener Schnitzel in a while. So the other day I went to Wiener Schnitzel. Never going again. I am never going again. But that's what the list is for. So like I recently put that on there. I did not enjoy Wingstop the last time I went, so I'm just not going there again. There's just random foods that I put on there, and I think that's something that people can do too. I think at times you have to limit yourself, clean out your system a little bit, and then eat those foods and feel how it really makes you feel and what it does to your body. And that's when you should make those decisions. At times it's just you're so into the convenience of it and you're just eating these foods and it's so easy. Yeah. And I still haven't had a Popeye sandwich.
No, don't have it. But
was it not worth it?
Well, I've seen so many videos of some people biting into it, and there's like, the ringworms coming out of it.
Ringworms?
Those little worms that get inhabited in the food when it's been a long period of time, and it's like kind of a bacteria growing within the food.
I don't think you know what ringworm is.
It's something worms. I don't know what it is, but I've seen videos, and around that time when it was getting super hyped up, I looked into that. Not specifically the worms thing, but I was just looking at a lot of videos because I was exposed to it, and some people were putting complaints about it. I was like, yeah, no, I'd rather not. I'd rather not take my risk on it.
Yeah.
But
ringworm is what mostly like wrestlers get from like skin to skin contact.
Okay,
it's like
worms, whatever.
Yeah.
But right.
Are you saying it's not worth getting stabbed for? Is that what you're saying?
It's not worth getting stabbed for, and it's not worth going around like what? A bunch of Popeyes, because there's even like a wait list nowadays. Maybe reduced, I'm not sure, but it's like whatever, dude. It's gonna be there. It's not gonna go away.
I noticed they removed it from like DoorDash and those delivery apps. They removed the Popeyes as an option now. Oh, yeah. I think they don't want to put their employees at risk. Like at first I didn't feel the need to eat it, or I wanted to save money, so I wasn't eating Popeyes, but I saw it on DoorDash in those apps. And then one day when my roommates and I realized, like, you know what? Let's get Popeyes, but let's not go there. Or at the very least, let's order it and go pick it up, because DoorDash has that option where you can order food and go pick it up. Huh. And so we were going to do that. And once we decided we were ready to do that, it's not on DoorDash anymore. My sister uses, what's it called? Postmates. It's not on there anymore. Maybe it might be regional, depending on where you are, but here, it's not an option.
Maybe in Grubhub.
Maybe it's because it's San Bernardino.
You should try the Wendy's chicken sandwich. Oh,
is that still in?
I don't know.
Oh, they haven't run out.
They definitely have back stocks on that shit.
They still have the same supply from 2 months ago.
But one last thing I want to comment before we log off right here is that just going back to the fast food stuff, like, it's also that you perceive that as cheap too, but once you get the hang of cooking and stuff like that, you buy a certain amount of food, like $30, $40 worth, but it lasts you so long, at least for one person. Not even, it's healthier for you, and then at the same time, it's also more cost efficient. So it's really cool. And like you said, once you get the rhythm going, you get distracted, it becomes a breeze. And we're not saying cooking like freaking pre-made food, pizza or something like that. We're actually meaning like meal prepping and stuff like that. But
there was this guy on my Facebook, an old friend from high school, and he posted a photo, and it was like these cheap looking chicken wings. And he specifically said like, "Oh, don't judge me, but I wanted to save." And turns out 7-Eleven chicken wings are actually underrated. And I told him, if you wanted to save, making your own would have been the better and healthier and just all around better option. 7-Eleven
chicken wings. Hey man, he just doesn't know. He just doesn't know our lifestyle, man. But
no, you're right. It's definitely cost efficient, and you just think of it, and it's convenience. You think of, I have to go grocery shopping. There's all this stigma, and there is truth in it. But then you think of healthy foods more expensive. more organic stuff that's more pricier. So you think of, I have to go to the grocery store, I have to know what I want to get, I have to look into this, what ingredients do I need, prepare the food. Is just, I think those people that don't want to cook, don't like cooking, they think of the inconveniences. They don't think of the benefits. That's what it is.
Shia LaBeouf. That's it. Just do it. Because at the end, you're basically describing psychological barriers you put on yourself. But then at the same time, when you compare it to just going out to eat, you spend more time waiting. It could probably be, not all of them, but it could probably be less healthier in general for you to go out. You spend more money on gas to just go around. And at the end of the day, you have your opportunity to make whatever you want you crave that day, rather than, or maybe in a couple of days that you like, rather than be limited to specific menu. And even though you might choose the restaurant, at the same time you could probably want to make it a bit differently, rather than just be automatically choosing the same thing over and over, or just because you don't want to cook type of thing. Just do it. It's probably not that bad. And at least ladies and savages, we at least challenge you for this 1 week. Try to cook twice, at least twice. See how you like it, because you might be talented in this thing, and this could be your opportunity to learn.
Speaking of cooking and eating, Al, we've forgotten that in a few days is Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Yeah. The biggest holiday of the season, Black Friday, is
yeah, there you go. Black Friday is
Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? What I do want to say is I am thankful for our listeners, because doing a podcast is not easy. It isn't, and just like the working out and the meal prepping, there's inconveniences. One of us here has to do the editing, but there's work we put into this. It's not just us recording on a phone and we're just putting this out there. There's actual work. There's things behind the scenes. We have an intern who actually does stuff. He's sick right now, but I think you can agree as well, Al, that we are thankful for those that are listening, those that are sharing, and those that give us suggestions and that just interact with us.
No, I'm definitely thankful for all our listeners. You guys are just amazing. Every time we come to record, it gives us a purpose, not just to have a random conversation with each other. It gives us a little more dedication to put on this. And like you said, you're recording, you're editing and all this stuff as well. And then the marketing could get involved a little bit. But I gotta say also, I'm thankful for you, Hector, because you're doing all that hard work when it comes to editing, and I just gotta say that as well.
Hey, you too, man. I don't know, like you were telling me earlier about the Instagram. You're like, have you even checked this?
The submissions.
I've been so busy this week. Yeah, so like just a little bit of a behind the scenes. So like I take charge of the Twitter and Al does the Instagram. But like the past 2 weeks, I have the week off now. But before that, this past 2 weeks, I've just been so busy where I don't even deal with that. I put out the episode. I'll clip out little parts for the social media, and I'm done. I don't think about it till we record again. But no, dude, I'm thankful for you too.
And that's
you say some shit sometimes that makes me judge you a little bit.
Well, that's the shit person I am.
that is the reason we started this podcast, though.
Fuck yeah.
And we joked in the beginning about, maybe it'll just be our parents listening to this, and I think from our perspective, there was some truth in that. We didn't know exactly who would be listening, or
dude,
how
my mom
many
doesn't
people.
even
There's
listen.
been times where I don't blame her, but like I was telling you, like there's been times where I told you, like so and so gave me this feedback, and it's somebody I haven't even talked to since high school. I didn't even know they were listening to it. I just put it out there. People listen to it, and that's great. I had a friend a few months ago, and she got into it like around episode 3 or 4-ish. And she told me she binged it, and she was like, now I have to wait, and I have something to listen to. And like, that makes you feel good. That makes you feel like, wow, like we don't have a big following, but we have people that are binging. That's cool.
That's what's up.
That's what's cool. Yeah.
With that note, I just gotta say one last thing. Check out our Instagram, savages.unscripted. Check out our stories or posts. You might like it, you might not. Let us know. Put it in the comments. Burn us. Compliment us. Anything you want. Just check us out.
Share us.
Share us as well. And check out the Twitter, Savages Unscript with the T at the end, right?
Just look for Savages Unscript. It'll pop up. The Twitter handle is Savages Unscript, but just look us up. You'll see our logo. You'll see some good shit on there. I get carried away on there.
Our goal for Twitter is to have as much followers as Donald Trump's. So you could help us get one step closer to that mark. So
we're going to be just as big and almost as infamous for different reasons. Hey
man, the freaking JetBlue Airlines are even listening to us, man, with those savage questions they're putting on their customers.
I mean, we already have more content than Apple, the Apple Premium Plus thing, so we're on to something.
And we might be getting close to Disney Plus's content, so people, you just wait. And this has been Savages Unscripted. Hector, you had something to say?
Hold on. I have a last minute thing I want to add, an idea I want to share with you, Al.
Okay.
Because I haven't told you about this, but I think it'd be a great thing, and I want people to let us know on our email, on our IG, or just hit us up personally. But I want to know what you guys think of this. But those of you who are using any dating apps or dating sites or Tinder or hookup apps or
Kinder,
it's a hookup app and you say you're looking for love, but we both know you're actually not. Eventually we're gonna put out some Savages Unscripted t-shirts. We want to put out some Savages Unscripted t-shirts, but we can give you priority if you can put this in your photo. If you can wear our t-shirt in your Tinder profile photo, you will get priority. Are you guys down for this?
And on your bio, put follow me at savages.unscripted. It'll help make our day.
I think we got some ideas, you guys. We got some plans.
It's all just going to come down to you guys and make it successful. So, yeah.
Go ahead, Al. Cap us off.
Once again, this has been Savages Unscripted. My name is Al /Papi Chulo.
And my name is Hector, the one without the nickname for now.
Oh, and one last thing. People, this is our last week. This is your last chance to put in your submissions for no nickname Hector. And let's see what happens.
I'm excited.